Welcome to Barts Gaming Corner. First, a proud announcement. As I'm recording this, my channel has reached more than 100 subscribers. Thank you, lovely viewers, for putting your trust in me and my up-and-coming video game channel. And now on with the review. Geyser Couriers of Darkness, an indie isometric RPG by Grape Ocean Technologies. Since its revival in 2014, the isometric RPG genre has turned out game after game, starting with Wasteland 2 and Divinity Original Sin, later followed by Pillars of Eternity. Geyser Couriers of Darkness is one of the first of this year's crop, created by small studio Grape Ocean Technologies. It flew a bit under the radar, stuck between heavy hitters like Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous and later on this year Baldur's Gate 3. But if you're a fan of the genre, I think it's worth checking out. According to the creators, the game is inspired by classics such as the original Baldur's Gate and Icewind, so let's see how it holds up. Story and setting. Geyser is set in a world with all the typical fantasy trappings: leafy green lands, a medieval feudal society, and the types of races you would expect from similar games and books. Humans, elves, dwarves, undead, kobolds, you name it, they've got it. The world itself is called Yarangol and has been plagued for centuries by self-interested, greedy gods. And greed is an important red thread throughout the whole game. Most of the game takes place in the kingdom of Isometric RPG, which has known a long period of prosperity, but is also on the cusp of a bloody civil war between the capital Isometric and the important southern mining town of Darren Gould. Your main character starts out as a servant of Lord Espen, an influential noble who's been trying to defuse the situation, but in the first act his estate is attacked and you're the sole survivor. And it's up to you to find out who's behind stirring up all the trouble. All in all, maybe not the most original of settings and backstories, we've seen it all before in other games, but it's done quite well. The overall writing in Geyser, in descriptions, lore and dialogue, is of a pretty good level. Next to that, the game offers a nifty amount of side quests. Gameplay. The gameplay is almost exactly the same as games like the original Baldur's Gate or the more recent Pillars of Eternity series. Either pick a pre-made character or create one from scratch, choosing from 5 races and 4 main classes: priest, rogue, warrior and mage, and develop them in a way that fits your style of play within the boundaries the game gives you. Gain XP by killing enemies and finishing quests, and you level up. If you're an RPG veteran, choosing the right skills and navigating through your character screens will come naturally. For beginners, however, the main options in weapon skills, for instance, may seem a little bit daunting. Next to that, the user interface and your inventory are somewhat small. Combat can be done either in real time or you can use the pause button to have a more turn-based experience. Gameplay overall seems very familiar. Not very original, but it's done quite well. Graphics. The overall feel of the graphics in style, design, etc. is very much akin to Pillars of Eternity. While I don't have any hard proof, I suspect the same game engine was used for Geyser. The graphics probably won't win any prizes, but considering this is an indie game by a very small studio, they do the trick. Towns, houses, the countryside and the character models themselves all look decent to pretty good, but I think the towns look somewhat empty. A couple more NPCs in every area couldn't hurt. Where the graphics fall short is in spell effects. These look somewhat underwhelming. Sound. The sound in Geyser is the weakest point of the game, and not where you would expect in such a small title, the voice acting, but in the overall sound effects. Now, the voice acting itself differs from good to decent to sometimes mediocre, but it never is bad. A decent level in the writing helps as well with this. And the soundtrack contains the typical medieval style of music you would expect from such a game. Good, but maybe a little bit forgettable. The sound effects themselves, however, are of a mixed bag. Fighting sounds like, well, fighting, but many effects sound either too weird, like when you click on a captured butterfly in your inventory, or too loud, for instance, when it's raining. Then it sounds like you're standing in the rain yourself, compared to the other noises and background noises of the game. Conclusion. Grape Ocean Technologies has released a decent isometric RPG with Black Geyser's Couriers of Darkness. While the sound may be a little bit annoying at times, the other aspects of the game, story, gameplay and graphics, while not overly original, are of a decent quality, and overall this is a pretty entertaining RPG. There is however one small gripe at the moment. The game costs about $30 or euros in Steam, which I personally think is just a couple of bucks too many. But like I said, this is a small gripe. I give Black Geyser Couriers of Darkness a 7 out of 10.